We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our friends at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use the box at sign up for 10 points. And here we go. We have breaking news here on the Sports Box.
Breaking news to start the show. I'm Brian, that's Mike. Real quick, before we get into the meat of tonight's show, the breaking news today is that Michael Thomas, Saints wide receiver, who you probably spent a very high draft pick on in your fantasy league, will miss several weeks with a high ankle sprain. It was predicted and it was said, Mike, that because their game is Monday night next week, that he might be able to play. It doesn't appear to be the case.
Yeah, he didn't look good coming off the field either, Brian. You knew something was wrong. Michael Thomas, he's a warrior. He gets beat up left and right and back and side. When he came off that field limping like he did, you knew something was wrong. So, folks, it's not 1 week. It's multiple weeks. So, you heard it here first on the Sports Box. So,
that is not good.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Highly Opinionated Show. I know you've been waiting all week to join us. We got a lot to talk about. I am Hamilton Mike Galletta, along with my compadre in crime, Flagship Station Show host, Brian the Ranger Attard. This is Highly Opinionated. Brian, how are you today?
You know, I was having a conversation via text with somebody in my fantasy league, and we're like, I hate fantasy football. Why do we do this every year?
Yeah, well,
and I don't really know why we do this every year, because every year I just get frustrated.
Because you love it. That's why you do it.
I'm in a very abusive relationship actually with fantasy football.
So I got a quick story to tell. This is going to be cute. Actually, nobody knows about this. My mom, my wife, nobody knows. So it's kind of breaking news here on the Sports Box. So.
Okay.
So some people out there know I'm going to be getting, unfortunately, back surgery in a couple weeks, and I had to go for my pre-test this week. I had to go down to Egg Harbor City to get done near us. And, while I was in there, I got tested in one room. I went into another room. And as I went into another room, I sat down in a chair, and the nurse said, okay, your nurse will be right in. So she left, and I remember sitting on the chair. All I remember, Brian, is maybe, I don't even know how long it will go. I got up off the floor. I think I actually passed out.
Yeah.
Because I've been so nervous about this. I remember getting up before the nurse got in there. I got up and got back in a chair. And as I got back in a chair, the next nurse walked in. So needless to say, nobody saw me pass out. Nobody heard about it until today on the Sports Box.
True story. It's happened to me before getting blood work done. So I lay down now. I don't sit in the chair.
I don't even look. I just turn away and talk, and I'm good to go. But listen, I am a little scared. I told Brian today I'm going to see how I feel. Hopefully I can continue to show. Standing, sitting. I'll see how I feel. Getting put in titanium in your back is going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but we'll see. Well, I'm a trooper, and I'll do it for the team. So,
well, I will tell you, we're talking about, listen, let's just be fair. You are not a young man as you used to be. This is why you're having these surgeries.
I'd like to think that, but
we're gonna talk about some other old people.
Yep.
Saints and Bucks. This was the premier game of the week, and I know, Mike, that you had a rooting interest, to say the absolute very least. And
thanks, Chris.
I'm just going to put this out there. I didn't think Tom Brady looked very good.
You know what? He didn't look good from the aspect of what your expectations were for him, but in the same sense, I guess I don't want to let him off the hook because it is Tom Brady. But in the same sense, the guy played for the same team for 20 years. This is his first game action with his team. He has to get acclimated to his team. I don't think Mike Evans was going full speed. I think Mike Evans is still a little hurt. And listen, if we're having this conversation, Brian, 3 or 4 weeks into the season, then I'm a little concerned. But right now, the guy he had 3 touchdowns, 269 yards. He had 63% completion percentage. He didn't play bad. The secondary, what a surprise, let him down near the end of the game. Again, let the Saints start throwing on him. Played good in the beginning. D-line looks good. The linebackers look good. David was all over the field. But, again, the secondary, young secondary, and Dean back there. Jamie Dean was terrible. Hey, Joe. And Elon Dean was terrible back there. But, listen, I think Brady did okay for his opener. I think he can only improve on it. Like I said, he'll get some timing down with the guys. Love Scotty Miller. If anybody hasn't had him in your fantasy league, jump all over Scotty Miller. He's got 8-9 receptions. So we
had said Sunday during the show that Evans was going to play basically a decoy role, and that's pretty much what he was. And probably his targets ended up going to Scotty Miller. It's probably kind of the way that broke down.
Yeah. They got to get Gronk more involved too. I think. I mean,
they
really
do. But Mike, but Mike, we come back to remember last year, 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns for Jameis Winston.
Yep.
Tom Brady, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and it's one of those things where he happened to be in this game.
Yeah.
And this was a very popular meme. I was very happy with this one. The follow through is fantastic. We love that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, Mike, because we've said this throughout the entire lead up to the season. There's no preseason. The first couple of weeks, you're going to see some rust, some people getting used to new situations, guys in their offenses, and things like that. But he's got to be better. He can't turn the ball over. And
not for nothing, Brian. He played probably one of the better teams in the NFC out of the gate. So
absolutely.
I mean, it wasn't like he was playing a pushover team or anything like that. So he played a really good team in the Saints. But again, I think it's going to come down to timing. He's a better quarterback than Winston. We all know that. He's got to get it down. He's a smarter guy, and I think the big difference with him and Winston is not only that the guy is won multiple Super Bowls and MVPs and took the Patriots to whatever. Jameis Winston forced a lot of stuff. He tried to make stuff happen. Tom Brady has the confidence that he can make stuff happen. So that's the difference. As I said before, as long as he can stay upright, I think Tom Brady will be fine. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time to get the timing down with his team. And again, he's got to get Gronk involved because he is very comfortable with Gronk in that safety valve position. Mm-hmm. So he's got to get comfortable with him, knowing that he's out there. If you're not using him a lot and using Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard a little bit more, it's not comfortable for Brady. So I got to put this hockey game on because Tom O'Neill's saying stop the puck.
It looks like it's 1-0 Islanders. That's all right. That series is over. You can quote me on that. They're done.
Yeah, I highly doubt Tampa Bay was 3.
Please, you got to be happy there with Ronald Jones. I mean, he kind of had a weird offseason where he was supposed to be the guy. Then they go out and they get Leonard Fournette, who kind of falls into their lap, and then he still had 17 carries, 66 yards. I don't think you can be really too upset with that. Godwin picked up where he left off. From a New Orleans standpoint, though, Kamara didn't do really much on the ground at all. His damage was done through the air.
He didn't need to, really. They got the ball a couple times to Emmanuel Sanders, and they got most of the Michael Thomas. And actually, Cook got involved, too. So.
The much maligned Tampa secondary did a decent job against an elite receiver in Mike Thomas. But again, if you go back to the game itself, I mean, I honestly think the score indicates it was closer than it really was because it wasn't until really like a garbage touchdown at the end. It was a 34-17 game.
Well, Jenkins jumped on the one interception. I mean, it was a slow throw by Brady. He kind of telegraphed it a little bit. I mean, and it was a pick six all the way. Me or you probably could have ran that back. So,
again, they went out to a lead. 3 straight touchdowns with a field goal mixed in for the Saints, and pretty much that was it. I mean, they weren't really going to come back from that. But I mean, again, I felt coming in the Saints needed it more than the Bucs did. I thought the Saints would win, and they did. I wouldn't, press the panic button just yet, but I will tell you, he didn't look very good. And
no, the Saints secondary looked really good too, I thought.
Well, I mean, that is a strength of their team, for sure.
Yep. Well, now with Malcolm Jenkins back there, they got Javarius Jenkins back there. They got a lot of guys back there. So. Again, I think he did adequate because I mean everybody's expecting Tom Brady to blow it up and throw 9 or 10 touchdowns or whatever. You got to lower your expectations because they're a new team and different things to that effect. So
they're expecting that Brady.
Correct.
They're expecting the Brady that they're used to. No, so I get that. But again, Saints go to 1-0, Bucs go to 2-1, staying in the NFC South. We felt this game would go over. It did by quite a lot. Seattle goes into Atlanta, gets a win 38-25. And
guess who we found out could be the number 2 team in the NFC.
They looked very good. And, Carson, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. So, I mean, they pretty much were on. I mean, the game was – I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said Carson. I have him in fantasy, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's Brant Meeks. Tampa Bay is a prime example of a team that could use some preseason games. Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, you're doing so much new that you obviously needed some time to get it going. This was a 2-point game at the half, Mike, and then Seattle just put the burners on. With 2 touchdown passes in the third quarter, they really pull away. And it's the same old story with Atlanta, right? I mean, Matt Ryan throws for 450 yards, and they lose.
Yeah, and loses by double digits.
It is insane that it is the same story. There is never a change with this team. And we talk about, how many more years does Matt Ryan have, this, that, and the third? And that's great. But if I'm like, this has to stop. Like, I need to get some semblance of defensive coverage because I mean, it can't all be on him. It's impossible.
Well, what's scarier, Brian, that you're running out of time with Matt Ryan, or that Dan Quinn was brought in here to be a defensive guy and their defense has gotten worse?
I don't know.
And they draft for defense. They bring guys in off free agency, linebackers, things like that, and they're just bad on defense. And I'll tell you what, the thing with Seattle though is, I mean, again, you saw it early, DK Metcalf dropping some key balls. I mean, that he would be an absolute monster if he would caught everything that's thrown to him. But he dropped some, had a touchdown. But the running game, Seattle was lacking a running game last year. They had all the injuries. They had Penny hurt. They had Carson hurt last year. A lot of guys were hurt. They brought Marshawn Lynch at one point. But this team's got a running attack. Carson looks ready to go right now. I mean, he's catching stuff out of the backfield. He's running hard. I mean, this Seattle team, I'll tell you what, they really could make a push this year to be one of the better teams in the league.
But to Brandt's point, they really did struggle to run the ball. It bears remembering Carson's 2 touchdowns were catches. And
right.
It was
and they were
20
range. He didn't have a ton of yards, right?
Yeah, 20 for 84. The leading rusher was Russell Wilson. Like, if you drafted Chris Carson in fantasy, you're like, well, okay, I think the touchdowns, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to give him back, but not a great game for him. What the insane part to me is there were not 1, not 2, but 3 100-yard receivers on the Falcons, and they each caught 9 balls on 12 targets.
Was that Cage, Ridley, and Julio Jones?
Ridley and Julio Jones, and then the 2 touchdowns to Ridley. But again, this is not going to work. And we said coming into the season, and Noah was on one of our new hosts. We're going to talk about that show in a little bit on Sweet Tea. But we said they got to get some defensive help. This cannot be a situation where they're just going to throw the ball. Brian Hess from Total Degenerates, Seattle exploited Atlanta's weak secondary. They didn't need to run successfully, and that's absolutely true. No question about it.
I mean, they threw that bomb at DK Metcalf, and he was open as anybody.
Atlanta's schedule gets difficult. This was not a game I thought they had a chance in this game because it was at home. But again, Seattle smothered.
We all thought they were coming across country. It was going to be a tough game for Seattle, and they were going to kind of lay an egg in the first game, being that they're smelling themselves a little bit, thinking that they can hang with Seattle, San Francisco, and all that stuff. You know what? They came out, like you said, Brian. They put the hammer down in the second half and just buried Atlanta. I mean, they were close. They must have had that talk in the locker room, like, "Yo, guys, we got a long play ride home. Let's make it count." And that was it. It was over. So, and Adams looked good. And what did you think of Todd Gurley?
I mean, 14 for 56. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, look, they're paying him nothing, so I can't really be upset about that. He's not what he was. I think to expect him to be what he was is a fool's game. Yeah. But again, Atlanta's never been like that premier rushing team. I mean, they need it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they need to have the element to their offense, but your quarterback going to throw the ball 50 times for 400 yards. That's how they're going to play offense. You have to stop somebody. We talked about the Atlanta receivers. Listen, to their credit, Seattle had 2 guys over 92 yards. Yep. Both guys on the outside, Metcalf and Lockett. So
I think if Seattle can get Carson going a little bit and use him effectively and start getting some, maybe not 7 or 8, but maybe a couple 100-yard games out of him, I think Seattle's going to be a team to be reckoned with, because then they're going to have that mix up, and they're already potent in the passing offense. So. And their defense looks good. Adams looks like a great addition, coming up, making some plays, anchoring that secondary back there. I mean, they're not the Legion of Boom, but they look pretty good back there.
But to be fair, they did allow the quarterback to throw for almost 500 yards.
Well, they did. But it's also, number one, it's Matt Ryan. And number 2 is it's first game of the year. Maybe I'm too lenient on the first game of the year because these guys haven't had preseason. But you kind of were thinking that there was going to be a little sloppy the first week with a lot of overs and stuff like that.
What's funny you mentioned that, because I actually had a conversation with a couple of the guys from the group, Ryan Hoffermeal specifically, who I said, hey, I think you're going to see a lot of overs. And like, no, it's going to go under. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think you're right. I don't really see that, actually. So clearly, what do I know? But yeah, I mean, again, I guess the question that I have, and I'll ask is what you think, is, we're talking Seattle. Here's my question for you, though. Was what Seattle did Seattle's strengths or Atlanta's weaknesses? Like, do they look the way they looked because of the team they were playing against?
No, because I think Seattle threw the ball well last year, and DK Metcalf dropped a couple big passes last year. He's 1 year in the league now. He's got it. He's got to catch those big balls. I think he's going to learn that. And Lockett is Lockett. He's a very good player. Like I said, I think the X factor for Seattle is a running game. They had no running game last year, and in a couple games they really could have used a running attack. I think if they can, use Carson, and I don't think Rashard Penny's gone for the year. He's out for a little bit.
What a waste for first round pick.
Well, but I'm saying if you bring a guy back like that, Brian, I mean, he's a mix-up guy. You could throw him in there a couple plays, give Carson a break. I mean, they just got to hope they don't give Carson, destroy him early, because if they get to game 7 or 8 and he's getting the ball, a ton, it's going to be, it's going to be bad for Carson fans.
Garth Patrick, a new addition to the show. We'll see him in a couple weeks on Friday on our new show, Sweet Tea. Him and Noah will be there, so you'll guys see a lot more of him. But he's watching Game 5 in the background. So am I. And this on the screen over here, I know the Islanders have scored 4 straight games. First goal, it hasn't really worked out for them, so hopefully it doesn't work out for them.
I was going to say, how'd that finish?
Yeah, not so well for sure. So again, Seattle gets the win. Atlanta gets the loss. Water is wet, right? We said coming into this week, I said that if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you needed to see a decisive win over the Jets. You didn't need to have this be close. You needed to basically put them in their place and show that you're a contender for this division. And I think for all intents and purposes, Buffalo did that. They went out to a 21-0 lead. It was 21-3 at the half. And they dominated. I mean, they let their foot off the gas in the second half, as probably to be expected. Josh Allen threw over 312 yards. That's probably more than you expect him to throw for. Again, I think the Jets are an abject disaster. This is not news to anybody who watches this show.
And Le'Veon Bell got hurt again, didn't he?
I don't know what you do if you're them at this point. I really don't.
I think Le'Veon Bell got hurt again. He's stealing money from the team already, and he's hurt again. So, and guess what? They scored 17 points, Brian. They look bad.
A couple
look bad.
With the excessive overs, wouldn't you attribute the no fans in attendance to a portion of that as well? I think
no.
I see what you're saying, but I think it's because defenses didn't. I think the lack of preseason hurt defenses more than offenses personally, because just the schematics and who's going to get coverage. Offenses can kind of build a rhythm through just running plays. Defense has to have somebody come at them.
So I'll come at you at this angle. And we had talked about this a while ago, I think, on our preview show. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little scenario hypothetical here. Not hypothetical, probably going to happen. The Jets are bad. I mean, we thought Jacksonville was going to be bad. We thought a couple other teams are going to be bad. The Jets are freaking bad, Brian. They're bad. Mm-hmm. They could necessarily be in the top 2 this year. Okay. So you're the Jets, and knowing their track record on picking people and how they pick people and stuff like that, you're the number 1 pick in the draft. Do you, after just taking Darnold a couple years ago, do you pass again and take Lawrence and set this team back?
I knew you were going to ask that.
You got to make a stand. You got to try to make this team gel together.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. He was not a Joe Douglas pick. Gase is getting blown out of there.
Yeah, he's got to.
So
got to.
It's a tough decision. It is a tough decision. People are going to say, oh, just take Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I get that. But you have a lot invested in this kid. And to be fair, you really haven't seen progression. Is that a Sam thing or is that a coaching thing?
Could be. Could be both. Yeah, could be both.
I don't know. I think
the problem with the Jets is that they, like the Browns, they're bad organizations because you're not making good picks for guys to make marks on your team. And you keep blowing them out and blowing them out and blowing coaches out. It's never going to work. You're never going to have everybody come in like players and a coach to just take you to the promised land that year. It's not going to happen. You have to rebuild. You have to. At some point, you got to say, you know what? We don't need a quarterback. Let's go to another area. But when does it stop? When does it stop?
Yeah, but think about this, though. And again, the cart is way before the horse right now. We're at the end of week 1.
Oh, yeah.
But let's just devil's advocate. That's fine with me. If they get Trevor Lawrence in there, is that really going to solve all their woes? There is not a lot of talent on this roster, right?
No. They have a lot of needs.
So imagine what you can do if you trade the pick. That's all I'm saying. This is not me saying that Sam Darnold is good or Sam Darnold is bad. What I'm saying is you have a guy who, again, to be fair, it's not Josh Rosen, but he hasn't really had a fair shake in New York. He's been hurt a little bit.
No, and the Le'Veon Bell thing.
Who's he throwing the ball to? Who's on his offensive line?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's running for his life back there.
All I'm saying is some team will get, if the Jets have the number 1 pick, some team will bowl you over for that pick.
Right. But
it happens when there's the elite quarterbacks at the top of it. That's what happens.
And right.
The Goff and Wentz year, the Mariota and Winston year, teams trade up.
Right. But I'll give you another scenario too. Now you trade that pick. Do you have any kind of confidence that they're making good picks at those next 2 picks?
Well, again, this is part. Well, it's now again, Joe Douglas has only been there for, I think, 1 draft.
Right.
So I have confidence in him. I've seen him do it before. I have no confidence in Adam Gase. I have no confidence in the ownership, who is probably meddling. I have no confidence in their ability to sign anybody until Joe Douglas got there. That's the X factor and the variable. I think you're going to give him a bunch of picks to work with.
Yeah, I think this team is in a try to ready get going mode now because of how bad they are, but they just can't get out of their own way. I mean, they just make bad pick. And I've said it before. The reason why New England is who they are is because how many years have you seen him move out of the first, second, and third round and take multiple 4, 5, and 6 picks, and they all stick. And they're all good picks. That's the reason why you move forward, is the guys stay on your team. When you're cutting guys constantly, that's not good.
Roll the tape back. When they traded from 6 to 3 with the Colts, with no goddamn idea who the hell was going to be at 3.
Yep.
That told you a lot. And again, they're not. It's a whole different draft,
a whole different regime, right? But that's
told you they had no idea.
Nope.
You don't make that. What if the quarterbacks? What if? Are you telling me that you loved 3 guys? Like, what if the Giants decided to take Sam Darnold? What if? Are you happy with? Now again, they're probably better off with Josh Allen. Let's be fair, but call it what it is. You're moving up for a guy that might not even be there. So don't tell me.
My thing is, if you liked Sam Darnold, then it's only 2 or 3 years removed. You got to get him either some more weapons or protect your investment. And that's what they're not doing. Is this kid's running for his life. Who's he got to throw to? Robbie Anderson? I mean, come on. You got to protect some weapons. The Le'Veon Bell thing has been a disaster. The defense stinks.
Oh, that was.
I mean, it's just all around, Brian. It's just a train wreck.
Yeah, that was.
But on the other side of the ball, Buffalo looks good. Josh Allen's coming around a little bit. He made some mistakes.
Again, hold on. But again, to be fair, and I know Ryan Leach is watching, did Buffalo look good or did the Jets look bad?
Well, and again, I'm going to go with that question. I'm going to keep saying it. It's all about, I think, without the preseason games, you're going to see sloppy play because it's the first time a lot of these guys are playing all together in game situations. So the first and second week, I think you got to give them a little bit of slack to get up to speed. Josh Allen made some mistakes, fumbled the ball. Overall, I think he played okay. I'm expecting more from him in the next probably 2 or 3 games. But we'll see. Buffalo's defense looked good. I mean,
Tom O'Neill referencing the piece that I wrote for Everything Entertainment about the Rangers and Lafreniere. We thought we weren't talking about trading the pick. Wrong team. No. If you care, feel free to read my piece on the Rangers and Lafreniere. TLDR. No, there shouldn't be trading the pick. But you can read as to why I quash all the arguments against it.
Good.
Been told
I'll hear you scream from my house if they do, but listen, I think they could.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. Remember, 3 weeks. The Sports Box is NHL Central. All shows are preempted for the draft.
Listen, if I'm a Rangers fan, I take them. But
of course,
if you get a King's ransom for him, something you can't deny.
No, it doesn't. There's no package.
Yeah,
there's nothing. You want to give me Connor McDavid? We'll talk. But then I got to pay him $12 million a year. They just took Mims in the second round. They did. That's why I'm saying. I mean, again, now he's hurt, but the right guy is running the ship now. So if he decides, you know what, Darnold's not my guy, I'm going to go with that. If he decides I can work with him, I'm going to go with that too. I have faith in that because I can see what they're doing.
I think the Jets have been down this road before, and they got to. I mean, Darnold might not be the guy, but they got to make a stand because they've gone through so many quarterbacks, and not even that position, just positions they've taken a shot at and blown them out real quick. And you can't do that when you're trying to build a team from the bottom where they are. And people don't want to admit they're at the bottom.
Mike, they've been building for as long as I can remember.
Oh, I know. Since I was little.
They've been building since what's a stupid ass name? Mark Sanchez was there.
I was going to say Chad Pennington, but
it's Chad Pennington. There's the Chad Pennington.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, if you're Buffalo, you take it, no questions asked. You beat a bad team. If you're the Jets, you got a bunch of injuries now to worry about. And
man, I think Le'Veon's out for a period of time now too. So
I think it was terrible that he went there. He has done nothing that he's been there.
You're just doing this to him. You just keep paying him, and he just keeps doing nothing for
get
you.
The money the Steelers were going to offer him.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Listen, if you were giving me that money, I would have went there too.
Call it what it is. He can go straight to hell because he ruined my fantasy season the year that I drafted him. So he can get hit by a bus for all I care. I hold those grudges. I'm not afraid to say that. God. Interesting game in the NFC North was the Chicago Bears. Nice little comeback here for Mitch. Listen, let's just give him credit. Just give him credit. Real quick, Tony Quigley, bad culture causes good players to either not develop or want to leave. That is fair. Yeah. That's what happens to Jamal Adams. And again, constant rebuild perpetually.
Yeah. Like Cleveland.
Mike, the Lions had a 23-6 lead at the end of the third quarter.
They had multiple leads in this game, I think.
They led it from the get-go, and
DeAndre dropped one near the end, but he's a rookie, so it's all right.
The Lions fired Jim Caldwell for going 9-7. Matt Patricia has since gone 9-23-1. And we said, who are the guys that need their asses fired? Matt Patricia is now number one on that list. Number one on America's Most Wanted, because that team is a disaster. You can't lose this game. You can't lose this game when you have a 17-point lead going into the fourth quarter. And we're going to talk about 17-point leads in just a little bit too, but we'll talk about it here. You can't let that happen.
You let your defense let Matt Trubisky go down and beat you. I mean, how does that bode well the first game of the season? Matt Trubisky beat you.
Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, I'm sorry, Mitch. What I said.
Matt Stafford, who again only had thrown almost 300 yards at a touchdown. Yeah. But Mitch turned it on in the fourth quarter. 3 touchdown passes, 2 of the last 3 minutes of the game. And again, the defense made a great stop. If you're Detroit, this is a disaster. You think they missed Darius?
You think they missed Darius a little bit?
No. Darius Slay, while he will be fine in Philadelphia, is not what he used to be.
True. Brian, Mr. Trubisky doesn't. I knew you guys would catch me. Sorry, Brian.
That's what we do. Listen, it's all I love. Anthony Miller, who I just want to say I had suggested be a fantasy start for people. He did lead the Bears with 76 yards and a touchdown. I will take the touchdown. It helped me in fantasy somewhat. I look at this game. If you're a Bears fan, do you take something out of the comeback? I mean, yeah, I think that you feel good about it. Obviously, you get a win. If you're Detroit,
this is getting ready. Medio, our resident Bears fan.
Yeah, I don't think that he's here. He's probably not happy right now, or he is happy right now for a change. He's probably still drinking himself.
Speaking of the same team, real quick, I know we reported tonight that Anthony Miller is looking for, was the first looking for money. Now he's looking for a trade.
Oh, Allen Robinson. I'm sorry,
Anthony Miller. Allen Robinson. Touchdown. Yeah, he's looking for a trade now. So
he wants money.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. So I mean, whether he gets moved out or not, we'll see. They'll probably end up moving him out. I'm assuming.
How about AP? 14 carries for almost 100 yards, turning back the hands of time. And listen, I'm a TJ Hawkinson guy. I didn't like the pick when they made it, but at the end of the day, he had a nice game. We'll see if he can continue some of that. But Detroit stinks. I thought else I could say about it.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
And they've been bad. It's funny. They've been bad since Megatron left.
They've been bad forever.
Well, I mean, when Calvin Johnson was there, they had the deep threat, and they weren't a force, but they were okay. But when he left, bottom fell out. Now, it's a shame because Matt Stafford can still play. I'm fine with Matt Stafford. I know he's getting up there, but I'm fine with Matt Stafford for now. They just have other needs right now. They're just, their offensive line isn't good.
Their
running backs aren't bad.
They keep putting high picks into them.
Yeah,
Kerryon Johnson was a second round pick to my recollection.
Yeah, so. He got hurt again. I mean, how many years is this guy going to get hurt? It's like a Gerald McCoy thing. Just keeps getting hurt year after year.
Mike, that's why you don't draft running backs very high. We'll go from one 17-point lead blown to another. as the Washington football team, which is the dumbest name for a football team that I can imagine.
Ever.
Hell of a comeback win against the Eagles, 27-17. Mike, they were dead in the water. And, you know,
big comeback or Eagles fell in the toilet?
Well, that's what I'm going to get into that.
Okay.
So the Green Room makes their triumphant return tomorrow evening, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of vitriol spewed during at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. And listen, I am, for being a Cowboys fan, I'm probably the biggest Cowboys Wentz defender that you're probably going to see. There's an Eagles fan. Eagles fan.
He's still complaining about the
Redskins forever. It's going to take me a long time to not call them the Redskins. I have to think about it to not call them the Redskins.
And you know what? They scored, and they didn't play "Hail to the." They just killed the song. They remember after they score, they usually play "Hail to the."
But
didn't play it.
Here's the thing. I am a fervent Wentz defender. The loss is not entirely at the hands of Carson Wentz. They had some offensive line injuries, and that is the Washington strength, is their defensive line. I wasn't upset about it, obviously, but at the same time, you can't have the turnovers. And he had 2 interceptions in a game.
The
one at the end, they scored at the end of the first half, which kind of set things in motion from there. Eagles looked completely out of sync in the second half, couldn't get it going. Carson overthrew Jalen Reagor for a guy who'd still be running. It's a bad loss. It's a bad loss because, to be frank, and I know Brant's watching, he's not going to like this, I don't think they're a very good football team, and I don't really like Dwayne Haskins. I think Dwayne Haskins
stinks.
Whatever, but listen. Go ahead.
Well, you know, I was going to say, if Hess is still watching, me and Brian, we've talked about this before. We really thought that the offensive line and all the injuries they had coming into this game, the Eagles line, that Washington, the best thing that is going for them is that defensive line, and they showed it. I mean, Chase Young looked really good. Kerry got in there. I mean, they had 8 sacks. They were all over them. And you know what? It doesn't get any easier this week, Brian, because they're probably playing the number 1 defensive lineman in the league this week in Donald. So it's going to be rough road this week. I mean, you know, Jason Peters didn't look good. He looked out of shape. For a guy who was bitching he needed more money to move in position, he looked freaking terrible. You know, it's going to be tough sledding for the Eagles. I mean, Wentz is going to be running around again this week.
I don't think the Eagles look much like a football team in that game. So I don't think they should be calling themselves much of anything. But again, to Hess's point, every Washington drive ended in a certain Eagles territory.
And if you saw the drives, Brian, I thought was interesting is I don't think Washington had over 48. The longest drive they had was 48 yards. 48 yards. They had 4 drives, less than 48 yards.
Haskins only threw for $178.
Right, but I'm saying that's what you talked about with turnovers. When you give the ball over to somebody and they're capitalizing on it with points in it, that is a killer. And the Eagles were doing it all day long. How about that 4th down that they went for? It wasn't even like there was momentum going. It was just kind of an arrogant 4th down call. Missed it. Washington went down, kicked the field goal, got points on the board. I mean, it was a weird game. It was very, very weird.
Divisional game. Brett Meeks, Haskins still young and inexperienced because in his management last year, only 1 season at Ohio State. If you're an Eagles fan, and I'm going to bring this to you, there's been some talk, obviously, of what do you do with a problem like Zach Ertz? So Zach Ertz wants Kelsey money, he wants Kittle money, and they got this kid in Dallas Goedert who they put a decently high pick into. Breakout game, 8 for 101 and a touchdown on 9 targets. He led the team in targets, 9 targets to Ertz's 7. Both scored touchdowns, but obviously the yards were all on Goddard. I'm not giving Ertz a deal.
No, you can't go by one game, but he did drop a big 4th down catch that was right in his hands. You don't want to go by one game, but when you got a guy like Dallas Goedert in the wing, I don't think Ertz has any leverage right now to say, hey, I want the money, pay me. But like you said, we'll see at the end of the season. If he has some really, really good games, I think the Eagles will pay him. But if he's going to have an average year, I wouldn't pay him at all.
You know how Eagles fans want the Cowboys to pay Dak? Right? Yeah. I want the Eagles to pay Zach Ertz. I want to see a heavy extension for Zach Ertz because that is a mistake and a half. Zach Ertz would be the prime example of paying somebody for what they've done and not what they are going to do. At this point in his career, we have seen peak Ertz.
If you're gonna do that, then I'd have to ask, why aren't you moving Goddard? If Ertz is the guy that you want, then why aren't you moving Goddard?
100%, and they're not going to do that, and nor should they do that. I would be moving on from Zach Ertz. I would trade Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz is their most marketable commodity to a team that is, frankly, closer to winning than they are.
Do you think there's any, and I don't think so, but do you think there's any possibility if this kind of trend continues with Wentz, possibly could see Hurts by week 9 or 10?
Listen,
I don't think so.
I'm going to stay with what I have said the entirety of the time, that the pick was a mistake.
It was that. Oh, without a doubt, it was a mistake.
Because you know what's funny? If I went to go back and look at the draft, I bet you there were probably some decent offensive linemen available with the 53rd pick.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because I'm going to say something else. I'm almost positive that Jalen Hurts was the only second-round pick who was a healthy and active yesterday in the NFL.
Or how about you trade your second and your third and move up a little further and get the offensive lineman you want? Because this draft was loaded with offensive linemen.
Oh, well, maybe you can go get CeeDee Lamb. I mean, Rager played fine. I'm not going to say.
Like you said, offensive line I think was the move. Offensive line, I think, was the move for them, the Eagles, to protect Wentz.
To be fair, they had injuries. I mean, I'm going to be fair to them. I mean, I want to see them play at their optimal before.
I mean, they did need a wide receiver too. Yeah, that's true. It's true. Okay.
So I'm not. I mean, again, if you're the Eagles with a with a 1-0 Rams team coming in this week, I don't know.
The good news is they play home next week. The bad news is they got one of the fiercest defensive players in the league coming after Wentz next week. So
how about your old buddy Peyton Barber with 2 TDs?
Yeah. He doesn't play. He's okay. They're ho hum in Tampa. Same thing with Ronald Jones. They love him to death because they put a second round pick on him.
Breaking news, but it is 1-1. Victor Hedman with a laser.
No, Tampa scored. Get out.
They're a good team.
They're pretty good.
It was a crazy game. One of the crazier games of the weekend was Green Bay and Minnesota, 43-34.
I think it was an over.
I like the Packers in the over.
Yeah, Packers in the over.
Yeah, the over.
I had the Packers. So I had over 75, 78.
But here's another one. This was a 29-10 game at the end of the third quarter, and then 5 touchdowns between the two teams in the fourth quarter. Everybody went nuts, and you don't really see that in divisional games like this to this extent. I mean, again, the 77 points were scored in this game. But if you had Devontae Adams, you're loving it. If you had Aaron Rodgers, you love it even more because he was a late pick this year. Green Bay looks real good. Looks real good, and they were a good team last year. They were a team went obviously to the title game last year, and we said, hey, we didn't like you wasting your first round pick on Jordan Love. We can have that discussion.
Another waste. Yeah.
I guess we got overtime in basketball again. I love our fans. Tell us what the hell's going on. I appreciate that. 106-106. I guess that's the Celtics Heat game.
Oh, that line is the Heat getting 2. It's funny.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, I don't think I think if you're Minnesota, you had a great fourth quarter offensively, defensively not so much.
Thielen that had a decent
had a big game, but Devontae had a big game. Again, Kirk's Kirk. I mean, I don't think he's going to be somebody, and obviously savior after my own heart. Eagles suck. I agree with you. I don't think they're a playoff team this year. But it's just one of the. I don't know what you do if you're Minnesota. I mean, Cook only ran 12 for 50, but you're down in the game, so maybe you're not rushing as much.
No.
Aaron Jones again, 16 for 66 and a touchdown, but Devontae Adams, what's the story of the game? 17 targets.
Yeah, you got to get Cook going early because you're Minnesota and you got all that money you locked up in Cook. You obviously have the faith in him that he can get the running game going. You're not a throw first team. You got to be a mixed bag in this league, and especially with a guy like Cook back there. So, I know the Packers have a decent defensive line, but he should have been able to get more than 50 yards against them. He should have been able to get some more yards with them. So they don't have to throw the ball late in the game and keep throwing because Cousins can't do that every game. No way. Never happened.
I don't think they're really built to do that. And I think the fact that you just paid the guy, like, hey, maybe you might want to do something about that. Maybe you want to use him. Oh, I don't know.
I'm surprised the Vikings defense was that porous. They didn't look good at all, the secondary.
Brant Meeks going back to Washington. Sneaky pickup would be they tried hard for Cooper and Rivera. Might want OBJ to bring some star power. We'll talk about that when we get to the Browns. That's another dumpster fire.
Rivera, I heard. He's been battling cancer and everything. In the locker room, he had an IV ready for him. He got the IV so he can come out in the second half. He's really pushing through this thing.
Give him all the credit in the world. That's I wish him absolutely nothing but the best. I hope that he turns out just fine. I have my concerns, obviously, but Listen, Green Bay with a big win. They're going to be a class of the NFC again. They're going to be a team to reckon with down the whole way. And don't be surprised that they're NFC representative in the Super Bowl. I'm going to say that right now. They are the team right now that I think looked the best of any NFC team in Week 1.
Yeah.
Raiders-Panthers. This was a game where we also liked the over hit.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs is a man.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs with not one,
also
not
blew
two,
this game.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
on 93 yards.
Panthers blew this game too. They had an opportunity to win. Bridgewater didn't look bad. He looked okay. Obviously McCaffrey doing it all again. But the Panthers didn't put them away. They let the Raiders hang around. And
For
the
most part, I mean, they were winning most of the game. I mean, they tried valiantly they got a comeback.
Yeah.
And they took the lead at the end, but then the Raiders were able to have a Josh Jacobs touchdown. I think if you're Carolina, again, I don't think this is a year you're really too concerned. I think the best thing for him would be a very high pick. McCaffrey's McCaffrey. He didn't have some of the numbers you normally see out of him, but he had a great game as normal.
Removal of Luke Kuechly too.
Yeah. I'm being told in a fantasy league I should trade him Josh Jacobs to Brant. I'm probably not going to to that, but it's nice that he asked nicely. If you're Carolina, I think you're happy with the Robbie Anderson pickup, 6 for 115 and a touchdown. But I mean, listen, ho hum. I'm not surprised the Raiders want to think it could kind of go either way. I think both these teams are pretty much going nowhere. Just my take. Thoughts?
No, I mean I think the Panthers we said are going to be one of the bottom teams this year. They're not going to be that good because you can't run the whole team with McCaffrey. I know Bridgewater's fine in there. He's going to get a whole season. We'll see what he can do. He's an adequate quarterback, but you need some different. I mean, DJ Moore, I think will be fine.
I like him. I have him a fantasy team. I like it better.
Their defense needs to step up a little bit though. Their linebacking core is kind of weak, but I'm not a big fan of the Raiders. I mean, Josh Jacobs is going to be a beast. But I know Gruden's waiting for Carr to get it, be a free agent because they're not signing him. He's going out.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Going from Cam's old team to Cam's new team. And, we said, hey, why are the Pats favored by 7? Oh, because they're going to win by 10. Cam had a Cam game. 15 of 19, very efficient, 155 yards, so not a lot going on there. But he ran 2 in. Devontae Parker had an injury. I think he might be out for next week. But at the end of the day, Mike, to be fair, the Pats are 1-0 and the Bucks are 0-1, and Billy's just drinking the juice.
Well, how long is Bill Belichick going to put up with that?
You keep winning games, then it doesn't matter.
He's running now, okay? And we've seen this from him before.
Yeah, but Mike, they were called runs. See, that's the thing about Bill. They will tailor the offense to his strengths. He has strengths. I mean, they're not strengths I personally think a quarterback needs to have to be successful, but he has them. And again, do I think that 155 yards passing a game is long-term successful? Probably not. You're playing against the Dolphins, so maybe it's a little bit different. But listen, they're getting the most out of him, as I said Bill would. Now, again, first week. We'll see how it goes from here. But
their defense is still good. I mean, their defense
absolutely.
I mean, they played Miami. They made Miami turn the ball over. With Fitzpatrick's a good quarterback in a way, but he's a veteran guy who knows where to go, especially with Miami. So that defense is still good. And that's going to help Cam out. So he doesn't have to play from behind and push and thread the needle and push stuff he can't throw. I just think, in my own opinion, once he gets running, once he gets hit, that's going to be the end of him running. And then he's going to work on being accurate, and that is not a Cam strength. So.
No, I don't disagree with you, but I think that if anybody's going to do this right, it's going to be Bill Belichick. There's not a better football mind in the world. So
we'll see.
People see Miami as a pushover. They made a lot of moves on the D-line, that side of the ball. They did. But again, I just don't understand why Tua was not playing. I really don't. And I
agree.
Fitzpatrick.
You got that high, you got to put him in there. You got to put him in.
3, not 1, not 2, 3 picks.
Yep.
So listen, Pats are 1-0.
Yeah.
Hold on, right?
Well, we're going to get to another team that I think that's the case too. But go ahead.
Here's I think was the shocker of the weekend. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. Well, when what's his name got hurt, that kind of set him back a little bit with their running attack. But Marlon Mack got hurt. He's out for the year. But Hines played okay. I mean, he didn't play bad. And now they can use Anthony Taylor.
Death, taxes, Phillip Rivers throwing interceptions.
Yeah. Again, it's new team. He's played for the Chargers for forever.
New team? He's done this his entire freaking career.
Right, it's his first time with the new timing with T.Y. Hilton and all these guys, Pittman and all these guys. Like I said, I know they look bad, and these are guys that we expect to do well with their teams, but I think you still got to give him a little bit of time.
He's had this weird ability to lose games catastrophically. Numbers are gaudy. 363 yards, 36 of 46.
Yeah.
10 yards, 10 yards a completion.
Well, they threw to get back in this game, but I mean, is
Jacksonville had most of it?
I'm not going to say Jacksonville's for real because we picked them to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. But do you think that they probably won't be, or do you think they can win some games now? Because this is a game we definitely had them losing.
Sure, but again, can I ask you a question? My personal opinion. You know who Gardner Minshew is? He's Baker Mayfield with a lower pick. I don't understand. I'm not upset with the guy.
Or is an adult film star.
Nice. Listen, Stash.
Stash. I mean,
listen. He missed one ball. He was 19 of 20. You want to talk about efficiency? 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not one, not two. It's because 3 touchdowns.
To the DJ Shark. Listen, it's Taylor on the offense to him. I mean, that's their pick. That's their guy, I think. I mean, that's why they get rid of Nick Foles. Brought Nick Foles in for the worst contract ever and blew him out. So
Nick Foles stinks, and we're not going to change that take on this show.
No.
That's going to stick.
Correct.
But
still stinks. Yeah.
If you're this is a bigger deal for the Colts. You have to win these games. We said it's going to be a tight division, especially with Tennessee at the top. And you can't continue to lose games against teams that you are clearly better than.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that it was on the road. I don't care that it was week 1. I don't care about anything. You were winning the game.
Yeah.
You were winning the game at the half.
Yeah. And you have a better.
We got a goal for the Lightning.
No.
They won.
They scored again?
They did. Carter, I don't know for Haig. I can't pronounce the last name. Not for Stieg. There you go. All the Ranger fans are very happy with the outcome right now.
Yeah, and you can't. If you're the Colts, like you said, you can't lose that game. You got a quarterback in there. It's a veteran quarterback, better than what you had. Yeah, you can't lose that game. He's got to get it. I'll judge them on 3 games.
I was just reminded my son is asleep from an angry text from my wife. Yeah, 9 different pass catchers for Minshew. Listen, okay. Do I think he's their long-term solution? No. I think they're going to end up with a high pick. Is going to be a quarterback, but ride it.
Yeah.
Chark caught a touchdown. Chenault caught a touchdown. Keelan Cole finally makes an appearance. He caught a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
All good. If you're the Colts, though, I think Nyheim Hines is going to be your top waiver wire pick in fantasy. Top
who is the starting quarterback, running back now for the Jets?
Jonathan Taylor, the rookie.
Would you pick him up in fantasy?
Jonathan Taylor is automatically drafted in every team.
No, not the Colts. Not the Colts.
Oh, for the Jags.
Yes.
What's the goal under review for? This is ridiculous.
Ah,
They put
Matt might have called them.
Hate Barry Trotz. Overrated piece of shit. No, I mean the I wouldn't rush to pick up a Jags running back. I think that's probably not really. What are you? The guy said he was on side. What are you even talking about?
Terrible. All right.
Somebody tell me if it's a goal, please. I'll be. What? Hold on. What's this idiot saying?
We have breaking news. Oh, jeez. Would they call offsides? Jeez.
Yeah, dumb. Anyway, Jacksonville gets a win. Screwed up a lot of survivor pools.
Yeah. Goal came back. They discounted the goal.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah. All right, next game. Yep. It's true.
Baker Mayfield stinks.
He does stink.
He is not good. He is not good at football. That happens to be prerequisite, but this was a destruction.
He's also one of the worst teams in the league too. So
the Browns continue to not win opening games. They have not won week 1 since 2004, ironically, against Baltimore. Baker stinks. This is a problem.
I need to ask you a question with Cleveland.
Yeah.
So why do you bring in, which is fine, you bring in a guy like Austin Hooper, okay, a tight end, which is fine. But you just got Njoku last year, the year before. If you're going to do that, why don't you get rid of him or trade him? Why do you have both of them there?
No, I agree. So he wanted to be traded. They said no. They said, "Oh, we got a spot for you. Caught a touchdown."
Bad organizations don't make moves like it hits you in the face. Like you got 2 good tight ends there. Why not get rid of one of them and get some value?
They drafted Harrison Bryant too to be a third. So let me ask you this question. I said I thought Baltimore was going to win because was going to win the whole thing. I'm not changing my mind on that. Who do you stop? Another great game for Mark Andrews, 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins, a rookie running back, had 2 touchdowns, which I think it's like a muddled like running back group. You don't really know from a fantasy perspective who's going to be the guy, whether it's going to be Ingram, whether it's going to be Dobbins, somebody else. But got in the end zone twice. Baltimore looks good. Cleveland looks terrible. Cleveland looks absolutely terrible. And now you're talking about, are they trading Beckham? Somebody's asking about that. And I think it's because they're losing. But he wanted out before that. I hear he's a number 2 receiver. Pardon the pun. Baltimore. Thoughts?
They look like a well-oiled machine. I mean, I said it coming into the year, and I'm going to stick by it. I thought Jax would take a step back. It could be a small step.
Taking a step back and running forward into the end zone.
He looks like he took a step back, but he's taking 3 forward. So
here's my question for you here. So a lot of talk about Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. How was this breakdown going to happen in the Cleveland rushing attack? Hunt had more carries and more yards, and to my recollection, Nick Chubb was a top 2 round pick in fantasy. Hunt 5, 6, 7.
Again, another draft pick, Chubb that they drafted high. Then they bring in Kareem Hunt last year. So,
well, they got him. Well, to be fair, they got him for nothing.
Well, they did, but if you have other needs, Brian, that you need to address, you don't need an extra running back that can do the job as the guy you drafted. So apparently, that's a bad organization again.
Butler just did something.
They're up 2 with 12 seconds left in overtime. So the Heat. So Jimmy Butler, man, it's a shame he didn't stay here in Philly, but he wasn't staying here with Brett Brown. Anyway, yeah, I mean, again, another bad move of organization who has worse. It's bad. It's bad with the Browns because they keep trying to outsmart themselves. You have 2 tight ends there that you don't need one of them, and you had two good running backs. You could trade one of them and get something for them. I don't know. It's just a bad organization. It's just a bad organization is all you can say. They have all this firepower. The year before, 2 years now, they've gotten all these guys and OBJ, and thought Baker Mayfield was the guy, and all this other stuff, and it's not panning out because it's just a bad organization.
We have breaking news here on the Sports Box.
Yeah, the Browns do stink. Then you had to break that news?
This is a Sports Box exclusive story. We have sources.
Hey.
We have sources in Cleveland feeding us this information.
Michael Henshaw?
That the Browns stink.
They actually have trash trucks on the street for Cleveland. So
who could have seen that coming?
My God. Funkmaster Flex. Nice. I used to like Funkmaster Flex. Nice.
I think
Brian probably has no idea who Funkmaster Flex is.
Big V for that one.
Yeah, Brian probably has no idea who he is.
No, this is true. So I don't have the GIF right now, but I have a GIF of Chris Jericho reading all the people that have been a head coach for the Cleveland Browns. Total bastard. Again,
it's like a bad dream. Just keeps happening.
Ho hum, right? Ho hum. The Browns stink every year. This ain't going to be different.
You talk about being a diehard Bucs fan that I am and going through some bad years. Well, this is just like a bad episode of just a Twilight Zone. Just keep going.
if you thought that things were bad for one Ohio team, they weren't really that good for the other to a degree. So the Chargers go to Cincinnati and they do get the win largely because of this. So you have a chance to win the game. You're going to kick the ball, and the guy just like has a hammy problem or he hurts his vagina. I'm not sure what the hell happened exactly. But
his mangina.
You can't – he pulled up.
That's an extra point.
It sucks for the kid, but the kid played well. Give him full marks on that. 23 of 36, 193 yards. He looks like the real deal, as well he damn well should, for the number one pick in the draft.
Oh, we do have breaking news. I do. We don't have that. You don't have that.
What do you got?
Heat wins game 117. There it is. 117-114. Breaking news, John.
There you go.
That's it. I had it first, though, John.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Still won this hockey game to my chagrin. So if you're the Bengals, I mean,
it looked good. I mean, Joe Burrow looked good.
Two bad teams. And
he's got players there. I mean, he's got Mixon. He's got A.J. Green. He's got some decent players on offense with him. Giovanni Bernard. The Ross experiment's gone south. But, still, listen, the Chargers didn't look good at all because Tyrod Taylor stinks. Okay? He shouldn't be, Tyrod Taylor was terrible in that game. I know they won, but when's Herbert coming in the game? I want him in by that bye week. After that bye week, there should be no doubt Herbert should be. By hook or by crook, they won. Yeah. Wow. So you can't continue to, you can't say, oh, go put the kid in. I thought Taylor stinks. You can say it. He stinks. I mean, I don't like him. I know Anthony Lynn seems to have a hard on for him. John Slugs charging Herbert in. You'll see the offense explode. Again, Brian, you draft the guy in the top 5. He's not in your starting lineup. Why? Well, 6 to be fair, but yes, I agree. Top 6. Well, my bad. I agree. Why is Tua not playing? Well, that too. Those are the two teams I have a big question on. Why is Tua not playing? Why is Herbert not playing? Because Tyrod Taylor is not your long-term quarterback. He is not your long-term guy. You did not draft Herbert to have Tyrod Taylor take you the next 2 or 3 years. Mike Ralston, who absolutely is our biggest Texans fan that watches the show, no question about it, says the Texans might trade for Beckham. I don't want them to. No, because Mike, you can't. I can't buy the idea that we're going to send Hopkins out to bring in Beckham. Right, to bring it up, yeah. That would be you could see it with Bill O'Brien. Now listen, where Mike is correct is that he can't put it past O'Brien because O'Brien basically says, "Oh, I just traded 5 first-round picks for these magic beans." So it's different. And not for nothing, if anybody watched that Houston game, man, the announcers had such a hard on for David Johnson. Do they understand the guy gets hurt every single year? Every year he gets hurt. Every year he gets hurt. They like running back. Broke his hand a couple years ago. He's always out. They like running backs. But Chargers get the win. Yep. Bit of a shocker here, but maybe not. Cardinals get a 24-20 win in San Francisco in a game that the Niners led 13-10 at the half. And then Kyler Murray decided to take the game over. Great game for him. Twice inside the red zone, Brian, and they didn't get a point out of it. Yeah. San Francisco blew it. They took their foot off the gas. In the early part of the game, they were moving up and down the field, and they didn't put their foot on the gas. They let the Cardinals back in the game. And listen, you got Hopkins in there. They can do some damage. Murray looked pretty good. So all I'm going to say is this. I've been saying that Jimmy Garoppolo stinks at football for a while, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. But having said that, they couldn't get a receiver to do anything yesterday. The Garoppolo's touchdown, one went to Raheem Mostert, which was a run. The other pass went to Jerick McKinnon. So they were both running backs who caught the touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Injuries are injuries. Divisional game, again, it is what it is. But Hopkins had a huge debut, 14 for 151. You gotta love that. And Mostert's making them, giving him the money a good thing. They just signed Sanu today too. I mean, because it's an infirmary. Everybody's hurt. Hopkins had 16 targets. That's not bad. So what's worse what's worse that he caught 16 targets or that they weren't covering him for him to get 16 targets?
The beauty about that is they're going to throw him the ball, and it doesn't matter who's going to catch him.
No.
You know who had who just had an abysmal game? I am so happy I didn't start him. Was Christian Kirk. 1 catch, 0 yards.
Yeah, well, and you think Kirk would get a good game out of it being on the other side of him. They're going to cover their double. But like you said, the problem with Hopkins is, Brian, you can't cover him. You can put 2 guys over on him, he still catches the ball every somehow.
Kyler Murray, 13 for 91 and a touchdown on the ground.
Yeah. Niners blew that game.
Give the
Niners
kid
had that game.
Cards get a win. Again, I agree with John Suggs when he says they're a dark horse. I think they could sneak into the playoffs, and it's a win like this. It's a win like this that makes you think it might be possible in a tough NFC.
Yeah. If the Rams hold up the way they're doing, the NFC West could be the best team, best division of football.
So before we get into this, so at the end of the day,
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to go down the road. But go ahead.
Listen. I understand. I was very vociferous when the Eagles lost. Fine. I deserved this, but that's okay. I'm actually not really mad at it because you're on the road for an opening game. You lose by a field goal. Had every opportunity to win the game. What I'm going to say, and I'm not going to go too in depth with this, but what I am going to say,
you definitely got
pass interference. This is not pass interference.
No,
it's not. We're in LA. I really think that Jalen Ramsey needs to, and I love Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey gets like an Academy Award or an Oscar or an Emmy or whatever it is, whatever stupid award they give. But when I have Eagles fans telling me, dude, that was a terrible fucking call. No shit. It was a terrible call. And that changed the entire game, to be fair. They may not have won. They may have got the field goal and they may have lost anyway. That's just that's a bad call.
No, and I agree with you. 100% it's a bad call. With things going on in a game like that, you can't call ticky-tack stuff like that. And then number 2 is, though, you never let it come down to one play. They should have played better, Dallas. They did. The Rams did play good on defense, and Donald was in there causing havoc all day. But Dallas had opportunities in this game, missed them. And, it is what it is. Listen, the Rams, they look like they're a decent team. And the offensive line still has to come together a little bit. Dallas, they were supposedly going to have one of the better offensive lines. Donald exposed that a little bit, but I think they'll be fine. I think Dallas will be fine.
It's Aaron Donald, to be fair.
It's beast.
So from a Cowboys perspective, you're happy with how Elliott looked.
Right.
Almost 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
Caught one, too. You're happy with Amari Cooper, who the last time they played this team was shut down by Jalen Ramsey. Really, 10 for 81 on 14 targets. You're happy with that. CeeDee Lamb, basically 60 yards in his debut. You're happy with that. Yeah. The defense is the defense. And I think in the first quarter, they didn't look very good. I thought the Rams kind of, moved at will for the most part. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm not going to lambaste them for losing a road game to start the season. They got a game against Atlanta this week. They better play better. That's a tough offense. And then those teams don't want to go to 0-2. Their primary divisional opponent lost in the Eagles, so neither here nor there. Am I upset at the loss? I'm obviously not happy with the loss. I shouldn't be happy with the loss. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the sky is falling. These people that want to say, oh, well, we need to fire Mike McCarthy. You're an idiot. Stop watching football. Just stop. Just stop.
First game, I think that was a game they could have had.
I got Cowboys fans and outside the box. Sorry, I'm missing all the comments. I got Cowboys here and outside the box. Like, we had a better loss than the Eagles because we only allowed 20 points. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Stop. You give all of us a bad name. You're an idiot. Don't do that. Do not be like that. Take your loss and move on. Brett makes, there were a lot of offensive PI calls that were called this week. It was pretty interesting to see that many. I agree. Curious if that's a reffing thing or if that's like a no preseason thing. Don't really know about that. John Suggs, Cowboys are overhyped every year. Listen, hold on.
That's not true.
Hold on. Well, no, that's because they're America's team and that's what they do. But the Rams, again, I didn't think the Rams would make the playoffs. I still don't. They're not a bad football team. They're in a tough division, and they have a very good offense. It was the defense outside of Donald that was my concern. Mm-hmm. Again, I am not concerned with a 20-17 loss. In fact, the line movement in this game, if I can quote my degenerate friends, Dallas was -2. They actually ended at +1. So I think there was some people kind of thought that it might go that direction. They got, and again, I think the biggest things is losing Van Der Esch to an injury is a problem.
Yeah.
Losing Jarwin for the year is a big problem.
Big problem. Yeah.
They had big plans for him. I mean, listen, Dak was Dak. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and belabor the point anymore. I don't think he's very good. He's going to get a lot of money, piss me off, and there's it.
And there's our Dallas run through.
Cowboys suck. A loss is a loss. Texas is the best team in Texas. I don't think that they are. I think the Texans are very. I think the Texans might be 1-5, to be frank. I don't think the Cowboys will be 1-5. I think they'll at least be 2-4.
Right.
Safely. I don't think that's the case. I think Houston's got some problems. I think Houston's got one player. Very, very good player. I think he's fantastic. I think the world
wants to stay there. They want to stay there because they know they got tough times coming. So.
There's not much else. No. Off to Monday night. Steelers-Giants. Steelers get the 26-16 win. Hey, you know what's cool? I drafted James Conner in fantasy. Fuck me.
Hurt again. Oh, God. Listen, if you're smart, you get Snell. I mean, you just pick up Snell.
Snell looked pretty good, didn't he?
Hmm?
Mike Tomlin is an asshole because Mike Tomlin says to me, we want James Conner to be our bell cow back. He's our feature back. Cool. That's why I put him a third-round pick into him.
That's great, but he can't stay healthy. That's the problem.
Didn't look good.
Problem now.
Didn't look good when he was healthy. Then he got hurt, and then Snell played well. And I think if that happens a couple more weeks, he's going to lose that job.
Yep. Giants had this game too. They were playing well. Danny Dimes was throwing the ball over the place.
Look, I mean, I get a lot of flack from the boys because I say I didn't like Danny Dimes with the 6th overall pick. That's not me saying I don't like Danny Dimes. It's me saying I don't like him at 6 when I could have got him at 17.
I agree. I like the pick. I didn't like it at 6.
Well, you don't know if he's going to be there. I mean, read the room.
He would have been there. He would have been there in the second round probably too.
What were your thoughts? First of all, 19 for $113 on Snell. It should have been James Conner, but your thoughts on Ben first game back?
It looked rusty in the beginning. He needed a little bit to get going. He's never flashy, just kind of does his thing. I don't think Ben had a terrible game. Again, kind of like Brady, but not changing teams. I mean, Ben hasn't played football in a year. So he's got to get back in the flow again, the timing and things like that. I think he was fine. I think he was good for now. And, you see how he comes up against some big teams, but I think he did well. I think he played okay.
James Conner had the same amount of rushing yards as Ben Roethlisberger. Shoot me in the face.
Well, you know what? I drafted him in the first round last year, Brian. So, yeah, shoot me.
I may have suggested during the Giants preview that you should probably draft Darius Slayton because he and Danny Dimes had some really good chemistry last year.
Wasn't there when I picked. So.
6 for 102 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Hey, how about this? Saquon Barkley, 15 carries for 6 yards.
Yeah. He
did catch 6 for 60, though, so it wasn't a complete loss.
No.
Deontay Johnson actually led the Steelers in targets. I like that, being an owner of him in a fantasy team, but Juju with 2 scores. Again, I like the Steelers a lot. I do think they're going to need James Conner to play a role here. I don't know that Benny Snell can do this long term, but
Eric Ebron stay healthy?
Like Ebron. I like Ebron to be their red zone target, but also their front seven's the best in football. I think it is. And I think they're very good in this game.
Minka looked okay. And
yeah.
Harden and those guys.
Yeah, I love that.
A little bit. Bush looked like an animal back there. Devin Bush looked, but he keeps taking everybody out.
It is a good defense. Last but not least, the late game, which I admittly fell asleep. I didn't really catch this one.
And that was one more pick too. I took Derrick Henry. So
Titans get the win, 16-14. Steve Gostkowski he was able to kick the winning field goal here. I think if you're a Broncos fan, think Locke's numbers are fine. You're happy with Noah Fant, who you put a first-round pick into, getting some production here. Melvin Gordon, their big free agent acquisition, had a nice game. Derrick Henry, this is their offense. They're going to run the ball a lot. Mm-hmm. And Corey Davis looked like he was alive for a change for Tennessee after I've been saying that he opted out 4 years ago.
Yeah. No more to say about that.
Let's see here. John says, what quarterback looked most impressive this week? Again, from a fantasy perspective, you got to love what you saw out of Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I think Wilson was good.
That's the one that got late in drafts. Like when Lamar looks good, when Mahomes looks good, but you kind of expect that on a weekly basis. That's why they went where they went. I mean, listen, again, Matt Ryan's not been the problem in Atlanta. Not really been the solution. Not the problem, though.
So in the beginning of the year, somebody gave me advice to freeze Andrews, then Russell Wilson. Still feel strong about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's your quarterback?
Brady and Roethlisberger.
So you pick Brady because you're a Bucs fan.
Well, I picked Brady because I picked the quarterback in like the 9th or 10th round.
How many teams are in your league?
10.
How many quarterbacks went ahead of you?
7.
Brady was the 8th quarterback?
Yeah.
You're going to play Ben more often than not. Andy Van Dries, Aaron Rodgers, fingers crossed you can keep it up. Hey, great game. Listen, I agree with you.
He's ready to leave town.
I
think this is his year. He's going to have a really good year, and he's going to want to get out because they got Jordan Love, and he's pissed off. He's having a reckless year because of Jordan Love, and that's good. That's great for Green Bay, but they're going to lose him after this year. So
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far just yet.
I would.
Andy might have missed the start of the show. I think Green Bay is a class of the NFC right now. We'll see where they end up, but
when you move up to get a guy like that, you're going to start playing him soon. It's not
hold on. No. I mean, if you go, they've done this before with Rodgers and Favre. I'm not.
They didn't draft Rodgers in the first round.
They did draft Rodgers in the first round.
Okay, I didn't think it was at the end of the first round. I thought it was in the second round.
5th overall. Anyway, Tennessee gets the win. Again, I didn't get a chance to watch his game, so I can't really comment on John Suggs' question in regards to I didn't really get a chance. I fell asleep. It was very, very late for me. I had to have work in the morning. But that's week 1. Again, I think the storyline coming out of it is the injuries. I mean, again, there's some big time injuries that are out there. Again, you have the Michael Thomas thing. You have Marlon Mack out for the season for the Colts. So,
Can you put Mike Rawson's question up there? That's interesting. Yep.
Yeah, I think. Listen, Mike, if he continues to get these jobs, I mean, I don't know how. Let me go see how far behind him he is.
He can't be that close. Emmett had a phenomenal years. I mean, I know AP in the last couple of years has had good years, but not like Emmett.
So Adrian Peterson is at 14,309.
Right. Emmett's like 18.
Emmett's 18. Emmett's got 4,000 yards on him.
What are the chances of him doing that? I mean, probably he's got to play like 4 more years. With 1,000-yard season.
So here's the thing. He could
get to 16.
Now, let's not forget, Frank Gore is still playing.
Yeah, and Frank Gore's not doing anything now. If you want to stretch it, he could probably get to 16.
If AP's 5th all time right now. If AP got 1,000 yards this year, he would still be behind Frank Gore.
Right, he could get to 16, I think, in 2 years, 2 or 3 years. But that's it.
But it depends how many teams give you the opportunity.
Right.
To be fair.
I don't think he will. I don't think he'll pass. He's not going to pass out.
So AP is 5th all time. 2nd active, 5th all time. He passed Curtis Martin probably last year because he's 100 yards ahead of him. Your thoughts, Mike, real quick on MLB's postseason in a bubble. We kind of suggested they might do this, and here's what that looks like in real life. Where you have all the games in the NL in Texas, in Houston and Arlington, and then in LA and San Diego for the American League. And
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it only because you got this far and you want the postseason to go smooth and you want everything to go good. I'm okay with it. If they're going to do that and get the playoffs done and get everything kind of back to normal a little bit again, I'm okay with it.
I think if you're a team like the Yankees that kind of builds their squad to play at home, you don't really like it.
Well, but under the circumstances, it's not like
it's
weird circumstances.
It's a fucked up year. Okay, I mean, what are you gonna do? It is what it is. Mm-hmm. It is what it is from that standpoint. So at least they have a solution there. Yep. John Suggs, Braves. Yeah, they look pretty good. The commissioner said limited fans for the playoffs. I mean,
listen, you got to get through this year. I mean, I know they're trying to make as much money as they can, but You got to get through this year, and you can't have a stoppage in the playoffs. I mean, that would just kill everything.
No, I agree. I mean, I think when they see how good it worked out for hockey, when they see how good it worked out for the NBA, they're looking like, how can we do this? The NFL, and Jaw said it best. If anybody can do what the NFL can, they have no positive tests, and you got to love that. We'll see. Because again,
could the Blue Jays catch your Yankees?
The Yankees stink right now.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they won 5 in a row. I think.
Can the Blue Jays catch the Yankees? Can the Blue Jays win a division?
That depends on the Rays. It's such a weird year that literally I think anything can happen. So I think it's kind of hard to say that it can't because everything's so compressed. Every game is 2.7.
Their pitching stinks, but they got great bats. So
every game, it is.
Yeah, and that's a wrap.
Actually, no. There is one more thing that I wanted your take on, and that is the fact that Peter Laviolette was hired as the new head coach of the Capitals.
I did see that. I think it's a great move for the Capitals. I like Laviolette. I think he was great when he was with the Flyers too, and they got rid of him on a short leash when he was here, and that wasn't his fault.
Hold on. Here's a story of two comments. I have the Blue Jays tonight. They are down 17-3.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, so much for that. Thanks, Paul. Laviolette, no, I think it was a good coach even with the Predators. I'm okay with that. I mean, the Capitals have a good team. Laviolette not going to hurt him. I think he can only help him.
I'll give you an interesting. So I agree with it. I think it is a really, really good. I got a comment coming in from Josh Swader from Banner Sports in the Outside the Box watch party. I'll tell you one thing: my Braves probably still don't win a playoff series. Now, John Slugs has something to say about that, I'm sure. But we'll see. It's so hard to predict now because it's so weird. It's like Acid Powers. Isn't that weird? So, and Mike Ralston, the Cubs may not take 108 years for they win the next World Series. Like,
probably.
We won't know. We ain't going to be here.
I won't be here
to figure that out. So anyway, that is it. So just some housekeeping. Tomorrow, 7:00, we think Baseline Jumper with Quiggs and Paul Allen. Now, for those of you who don't know, Quigley is an avid basketball player. Tore his Achilles, so he's getting surgery done. He is a trooper. He has done his shows. So God bless him. Hopefully, whatever surgery has goes well. I don't think he's there yet.
God.
We will then see the first night of teeing off on Wednesdays at 8:15.
Yep.
With you and Dave Cartwright. With I'm sure there were some golf to talk about there. And then the season premiere of The Green Room with Chris Wilhelm, Paul McCree at 9 p.m. New start time for them.
Wow,
and
Paul McCree will be in The Green Room. Wow.
Listen, look, they're going to be rational, right, about the loss to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So
probably not, but that's okay.
John Suggs did call the Dallas Stars to go to the finals. I don't know why he thought that, but he did. God bless him. He got it right.
I hadn't get
at all.
I didn't get swept in the first round. But it is hockey.
Tom, there are no TV crews at my house lately. That was a couple of years ago, but scouted by Disney. Don't know for what, but good luck with that. And then on Points on Thursday, we have a new show coming up in a couple of weeks. It's called Sweet Tea with Garth Patrick and Noah Dibler, a Southern flavor specifically. With sports talk. So we're excited to bring those guys on. They'll be Friday nights at 9 p.m. I want to say it starts a week from Friday. I think they wanted to do. So keep your eyes out there. A lot of fun.
They will be okay down. I know the hurricanes.
Yeah.
So be safe down there. Everybody watching down there.
I'll talk. I'm sure. I know Garth's an avid Tampa Bay Lightning fan, so he's probably hoping obviously for a win tonight to get this thing done for the finals.
No, he's going to bed tonight early. So.
Nah, he'll be watching for sure. As always, all Sports Box shows brought to you by our friends over at Crowd Play. If you haven't yet checked the app out, it is totally free. That is not a joke. That is not even a catch. It is totally free to play. You can win cash and prizes by predicting both virtual and real sports events. And here's a little more information on them. Crowd Play. Check them out.
Beautiful.
Anytime.
Another night of just dominating, show-stopping excitement here at the Highly Opinionated Show. Thank you again for watching. For myself, Hampton Mike Galletta, Brian the Ranger Attard. It's been an absolute pleasure, folks. We will see you next week. I'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.
Thank you for watching the Sports Box. Follow us on Facebook at Sports Box Show, Twitter at Sports Box Show, Instagram at The Sports Box Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our friends at Crowd Play. Download the free Crowd Play app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 points. See you next time.